Welcome back to the Kyber Collective. I'm one of your three hosts, Annie, and I'm joined by Flowers.
Hello.
And Sig.
Hey.
And today we're going to talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi, the series, what we're hoping to see, what we think we're going to see, what we don't want to see. I think that we've all watched the trailer at this point a million times. I know that I've watched a million opinions on the trailer, and I'm not sure that I agree with a lot of the ones that I've watched. Let's start by talking about Ewan and Hayden. I read the entertainment article, and there was a bit in there where they both talked about how it was kind of tough during the sequels when people weren't exactly happy with the prequels.
Yeah.
Did I say sequels?
I honestly don't know. But if you did, you meant prequels.
I meant prequels. Yeah, because the internet had happened. It was in full swing. Whereas with the original three, they enjoyed no internet whatsoever. So, and the cool thing is nowadays is there seems to be like a prequel renaissance.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you think that has happened, guys?
Honestly, it's because we grew up and now we're the ones talking. I think back when the prequels were coming out, the adult fans were all, off of the original trilogy. And, they have their own subset of opinions. And I don't think the prequel story is what they were expecting. And however, the children who were, watching the prequels, or like not children, but maybe slightly older, teens or so who were watching the prequels finally are the ones who get to talk about it more and are giving it the appreciation that it deserves. And I also feel like they are appreciated more now as a holistic story, given all the other properties that are coming out. And I think their reputation got a little better in storytelling after the sequels came out.
I think the Clone Wars as well has really helped flesh out some of the I think not only did you have kids growing up with the prequel films, but then you have that additional generation that are now, I think, in their early 20s who grew up watching the Clone Wars, and they're now starting to make their voices heard. And for them, like, a lot of the prequel stories are what they grew up with as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's the kids definitely growing up, and then the Clone Wars definitely opening the story up. And also, the sequels. We were had to say, you know what? The prequels weren't actually that bad.
I think the things that make the sequels and the prequels, like the things that I would criticize about them, are very, very different. Like, no one can accuse the prequels of lacking innovation and vision. I think they're incredibly ambitious. I think that they go in directions that, some people didn't like, but they flesh out concepts. They're like the addition of midichlorians, I know, has been quite contentious, but it's no one can accuse that of being unimaginative. And the story is just massive and it's different. I think part of the criticism of the prequels was that they were so different from the original trilogy. And I'd almost levy the opposite criticisms on the sequels, is that in many ways they're almost too similar and they lack innovation. And I guess maybe having that kind of end of the thing, having too much emphasis on a almost nostalgia-based storytelling, made people go back and see that, like, the actual bare bones of the prequels are I think anyway, the most interesting bit of the canon that we have.
Yeah.
In terms of what kind of stories you can tell and what the shape of the universe is. A dying republic and the birth of a dictatorship is a really interesting field in which to be telling stories. So
definitely,
it's a really good backdrop.
I know people were disappointed when those movies came out, but I don't think George Lucas was ever interested in telling the same story twice.
No.
Looking back on it now, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Definitely. It's been a couple of weeks since the trailer came out, a week and a half, and there's already some controversy floating around.
Oh, dear.
Well, okay. There's two main controversies that I've been seeing. One of them is the Inquisitors, how they look. There's a lot of criticism that the Grand Inquisitor doesn't look Grand Inquisitory enough. I wonder if it's because it's not Jason Isaacs playing the role, or they say that he doesn't look enough like a character in Rebels, which that show is never exactly praised for its animation style. So I don't know why people are so attached to that. Also, they say that he doesn't look like his species. Like he's a Powin, and those dudes showed up in Revenge of the Sith for like a couple of seconds, but not every Powin has to look exactly the same, right? You would think that on a planet of aliens that they wouldn't all look exactly like each other. They would have like differences, right?
Yeah.
What do you guys think about it? Are you satisfied with the way Rupert Friend looks?
Instinctually, I didn't love it. Is it enough that I'm gonna be really loud about I didn't love it? No. The thing is, we're seeing the final product. We don't know what was going on why certain art direction had to be taken. Like, for example, for Ahsoka Tano's live action, Rosario Dawson plays her, and her head tails are much shorter than they are and what she should be, what we've seen from Rebels. But my understanding is that functionally it wasn't working having them like that's when the work that she was doing, so they had to make it shorter. Is it something that really bothers me? No. Would I prefer it if it looked the way it did? Yeah, of course. It does kind of take me out when I see the Grand Inquisitor in Kenobi, because I had to actually be like, wait, is that supposed to be him? Okay, it's him. I don't know. I'm not gonna throw too big of a fit about it. I wish it had been different though.
Yeah, I think if I walk away from Kenobi and my greatest complaint is that he didn't look exactly like he does in Rebels, then Kenobi's going to be a great show.
Yeah, it's already looking good in that way.
Like, if that winds up being the sort of thing that is the sticking point for me, then I'm really excited. I mean, I guess part of why it's been an issue is because the Disney Plus shows historically really have hit the nail on the head when it comes to art direction. Like the Book of Boba Fett, those scenes inside Jabba's palace were just like, I swear it's the exact same set. Like,
yeah.
So I guess the expectation is quite high that they'll be extremely accurate, I guess. But if I wind up watching the show and he's an amazing character, I'd rather he's an amazing character than a not amazing character who looks exactly like he does in Rebels. I worry a lot about like finding things to complain about before you've watched the thing. I'm hugely in favor of complaining after you've watched it. If you watch it you have things to complain about, then I think go for it. But I think that they should be really informed complaints. And if you're complaining before it started, then you're setting yourself up to just be bitter.
Absolutely. I'm in the same boat. Like, I don't mind. We all have our instinctual reactions, right? Like, you can't help what you initially think, but I'm not going to hold something against something until I fully see, until I have all of the facts, until I actually see the thing, until it comes out.
Yeah.
I don't see the point in already getting mad about something unless you've seen it.
Yeah. I stockpile my complaints, and then when I release them, I can cite exact specific sources in the full text.
Exactly. Yeah. Informed complaints.
Definitely informs complaints. I've been seeing it about the fifth brother too, that he doesn't look fifth brothery enough.
Yeah.
Who's played by Sung King of The Fast and the Furious. And then the Grand Inquisitor is played by Rupert Friend, who I think he's a great actor. Like, I think he'll do a great job. Like, when he was doing his voiceover, I thought he sounded properly menacing and scary.
I mean, I'm going to credit him for his acting, not like what the art department put him in.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so the other controversy that I've been seeing around is that of Darth Maul, that he was supposed to be in the show and that he's been cut out. But I think what it more is that he was going to be in it when it was going to be a movie.
Yeah.
And then they had to rewrite it a little bit because it was going to be too much like The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
They said the lone wolf plus the cub.
Yeah.
That, runs away from a villain hunter.
Yeah.
And it just sounded too much like Din and Grogu and Moff Gideon.
Yeah.
And we don't really need another one of those, right?
No, and I think I've talked about this with you guys specifically before. Like, I worry about overusing Maul and Kenobi because it's one of those things that like can start really undercutting the impact of their final confrontation in Rebels.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if they're meeting up every 2 years to sling insults at each other, then I think that scene starts becoming like a lot less powerful.
Yeah.
I think they can every once in a while, but it's a bit like, I had similar concerns initially when, as much as I was delighted that Hayden was going to be in this when I heard about Darth Vader, because I worry about it undercutting them finally meeting again in A New Hope. It's not to say that it couldn't have been done well if it was Maul, and it won't be done well if it's Vader, but
Yeah.
I worry about overuse.
That's kind of where I am at as well, because people got really up in arms about cutting out Darth Maul. I wouldn't even say that means he's not in there, because
I don't believe anything they say.
misdirection is a whole. You know how, like, in that interview with Paul Bettany, when he's like, "I get to work with someone really great" in the last episode, and he was working with himself.
Yeah.
So of WandaVision. So I feel like them saying this, it doesn't mean it's a guarantee that Darth Maul can't show up somewhere or have an appearance or be like an end credit. But I also feel like I don't want to see him. I don't want him to be overused. I think it wouldn't make sense for him to keep meeting Kenobi, because then the whole discovery of like Obi-Wan being alive in Rebels and his like obsession coming full steam ahead, and that final confrontation, it becomes insignificant to what we got before, which was this huge amount of time had elapsed before he was able to see Obi-Wan again and tracked him down on Tatooine. And so I would prefer that he wasn't. And I like to think that decisions are made thoughtfully when it comes to this sort of thing. And if they felt that this was a decision to be made to cut out certain things and change things, it's probably for the best.
Yeah.
Rewrites are not exactly a new concept to any Star Wars property, considering George Lucas rewrote the script how many times? And
so many times.
Was rewriting pages actively while shooting? I mean...
actively while shooting. And we looked through the Making a Star Wars books, and I've seen copies of what the initial scripts were, and it's like, thank God you guys did this and you changed it, because it improved the story.
Yeah. Rewrites don't have to be terrible. They're actually pretty good a lot of the time.
It's part of the process, yeah.
Yeah, and then in that original movie, they weren't going to have Darth Vader in it. It was going to be Maul was the main antagonist instead of Vader and the Inquisitors, which I think the Inquisitors make a lot more sense. Honestly.
Yeah,
and I think that the guy who they gave the writing reins to, he sounds like he really loves the character of Obi-Wan Kenobi, so... I don't think that Maul is completely out of the running, though. I don't think if he is in it that he would be in it very much. But he does kind of have a history with the Inquisitors.
Yeah.
He's known as an Inquisitor killer. They're afraid of him. So I think that could be a cool dynamic.
Yeah.
Only if, like, it's like one of those things where him and Obi-Wan maybe just see each other from across the room. Or if they just, like,
two ships
never
in the
meet
night.
up.
Yeah,
exactly, you know.
And if they're accidentally, like, on the same side, accomplishing the same thing, and they have no idea.
That would be hilarious. I would love to see that.
And then, like, if like Maul maybe sees him from across the room and he's like, is that? No. Is that? And then, so it eats him up for years and years and years. And finally, when he sees that holocron, he's like, he lives. He lives. You know, I think there is a good and a bad way to do it, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Which leads me to the semantics.
Ah, yes.
There's a lot of lines in A New Hope that make it sound like this is the first time these people are meeting in this amount of time. Or, you know, when Leia was, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, like, had she ever met him before? What do you think?
I feel like, given that she said that and you got the impression that she knew him, despite them not really interacting at all in that movie. But she also named her kid after him, so I feel like they must have met, which tells me this is a great opportunity to show some like secret interactions.
Yeah, my preferred headcanon is that Bail Organa used to tell Leia stories about the Jedi in secret, and that she's just an Obi-Wan fangirl and has been her entire life. And then one day, Bail casually drops that he like knows Obi-Wan, and she just loses her mind. And so she's never actually met him, but she's like, I know he's out there, and I'm obsessed.
Yeah, she sees like hollow vids that her dad shows, and she's like, oh my god, I'm such a big fan.
Yeah, and like she reads the like books that were banned in the Empire about like Jedi Knights, and like that she's got like a secret Jedi library, and she doodles in her notebook like Leia Kenobi, and then eventually she winds up near Tatooine and is like, well, I know he lives there. This is almost certainly not what was intended, but it's what I choose to believe.
I like this theory. It's enjoyable.
I know we're getting Luke. We don't know if we're getting Leia yet. Since we're getting Luke, I feel like we should at least get a little mini Leia, but I mean,
I think we are. Didn't they say they cast someone for her?
I'm not sure.
I don't remember that, but it's possible.
I could be wrong.
It's definitely possible. There's a lot of casting questions. I've been looking online for like who some of these people are playing, like O'Shea Jackson Jr. Who is he playing? They haven't announced a lot of it yet, have they?
No, I don't know who Kumail is playing.
Yeah, or like Benny Safdie.
Yeah.
They must be waiting for a while to announce that. Or, you know, if they don't, actually let us know until we see it on the episode. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
You know?
I think some of them will probably be spoilery to find out who they are.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. I would love to see Tiny Leia. I think that it would make a lot of sense if she had actually met Obi-Wan. I mean, we know so little about what he does. Like, he may or may not travel to and from Alderaan. He may or may not travel at all, period. I mean, it would be interesting to find out, aside from having his crappy 9-to-5 job, what he's been doing this whole time.
Yeah.
And we'll get to find out what this guy's been doing.
Yeah.
Definitely. When I was younger, I guess like I always interpreted that you served my father in the Clone Wars. It was that her reminding him of Bail, and she was like trying to tell him who she is. Like they had never met before.
Yeah.
And she was like, listen, I'm a legit. You served my father in the Clone Wars. Please help me out.
Yeah.
But it could be interpreted as, hey, I need your help. You served my father in the Clone Wars. Like she's listing off these reasons why she needs him.
Yeah.
To remind him, you know. I think that it could very much be that. It could be either. The other big one from A New Hope is Vader saying, now I am the master.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you really didn't expect them to have met up between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. Mm-hmm. Do you think that it could work?
Yeah, this worries me. I think that it could work. I also think that it could really not work, depending on how they choose to handle it. A part of what I think would be really good is if it takes the same kind of tone that the trailer does, where Vader is lurking. He's kind of omnipresent without literally being there. So they could be maybe aware of each other, or maybe just Obi-Wan aware of Vader. And you could not, like a bit like Maul, their paths never quite cross, but they come really close. Like the weird dance they do in the Clone Wars where Anakin can never see General Grievous. And so you end up with all of these like scenes where they like Anakin very nearly meets Grievous and then doesn't.
Yeah.
Like,
that was such a great ongoing joke.
Yeah, because I think that it would be a bit of a shame if they, you know, meet up and it becomes too big a thing given the impact of that line. Because especially like, now I am the master. You know that Vader was sitting there in his egg, like thinking, oh, one day I'm going to see Obi-Wan. What's the coolest thing that I can say when I see him? And then he's like, well, I am the master. It's like, you know, he worked hard on that. I don't want to undercut it.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. I don't want what happens in this show to be reductive to what happened in A New Hope. So would it be cool to see a showdown between them?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Of course it would. This is Vader and Obi-Wan. Do I think it should happen? I'm not sure. I like the idea of them being aware of each other's presence, but Vader not. It's kind of like in A New Hope where he's like, it's Kenobi, I know it. And then Tarkin's like, are you sure? Because you've said this 1,000,000 times before. And I think, is this just one of your paranoia spells?
Yeah, every time something doesn't go right, it's Kenobi.
It's Kenobi. I love that vibe that you have in A New Hope, where Vader's just like a paranoia streak of like, I bet Kenobi was behind this. I bet it was him. It looks just like him.
He doesn't even say Kenobi, though. He just says it's him, which means he's talked about Kenobi so much that Tarkin is like, oh god, not this again.
That is true. And he's like, surely he must be dead by now.
I know.
He's like, please, just leave it alone. He's
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like the same conversation with Maul. So I don't want it to be overused. So if they're gonna have Vader, I would actually prefer if there wasn't a showdown. I would be okay with the awareness that, oh, he's alive, and that is what continues the paranoia that he like aggrieves Tarkin with. Like, I think it's him. It has to be him now. And he does this for like another 5 years, just talking Tarkin's ear off about how Kenobi's out there.
Yeah, I think as long as they come up with some sort of like creative way to explain it. Yeah. So I wouldn't want that line to become like some wonky line, you know, and like now how we think about Leia talking about her mom, that she was beautiful.
Yeah.
And we're all like, okay, the Force, the Force can't explain everything. So
I can accept that one though. That one's not, if I do think of it, the Force, it can, but this,
yeah,
this is, as long as it's thoughtfully done. Yeah, there's just so much that can go wrong.
Yeah, there is. I hope it doesn't.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't,
for our sakes. Because I don't want to come to this show every week and feel like I did when we were talking about the Book of Boba Fett. You know,
I think this is different though, because we have a very specific feeling subset about Obi-Wan Kenobi in general, the character. Yeah. And Ewan McGregor time and again has proved that he can charm his way through any dialogue or any scene or anything. I would enjoy this show regardless of how it pans out, I think.
Yeah.
I hope.
Well, that leads to something that's been on my mind. Like, we finally get a show that's going to have at least one Jedi in it. At least one Jedi that's guaranteed.
So great.
And we're definitely Jedi fans. We've been, you know, it's fine to watch shows about Mandalorians, but we are Jedi people, and we're actually going to get a show about a Jedi. As fans of the Jedi, what would you like to see from the show?
I mean, I'm already excited by that line in the trailer about compassion being like an itch that they can't help but scratch, because I think that points in the direction that the show sort of at least understands that aspect of Jedi culture. Obi-Wan in particular, I mean, he's not just any Jedi, he's almost the model Jedi that we have. I mean, thinking about in the Mortis arc, he's literally defined as the light side of the Force.
In the Clone Wars.
Yes, in the Clone Wars, sorry. I would be frustrated if we got something that was not true to the way the Jedi were conceived and understood in the prequels. But I'm not as worried about that based on the trailer. I think we are going to get something that at least comes close. Yeah. And there are people active in Star Wars now who, you know, are really seem to get it. I think a lot of the High Republic books and some of the other stuff that's coming out is it works in terms of Jedi philosophy and who the Jedi are.
Yeah. I would love to see just a reaffirmation of what Jedi philosophy really is. Like, just a reminder, because the line that we've gotten is what Anakin says in Attack of the Clones, and then some sprinklings here and there, and then Obi-Wan's explanation of the Force to Luke, Yoda's bit of training with Luke. And I would just love to see this opportunity taken to show the culture, the philosophy of the Jedi, and how it's just a force of good. Even in this circumstance, especially in this circumstance when everything just feels like what's the point anymore? Yeah. Your whole people are just massacred, and there's no end in sight of the suffering that's happening across the galaxy. So I hope this show is they use this opportunity to show the hope that's available, which I think from the trailer you can say that is going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's particularly important here, maybe if you're thinking about within the world of Star Wars, the genocide of the Jedi. So the Jedi are a culture that has been effectively removed.
Yeah.
To have them being hunted down and being actively persecuted, I think having a story that is about what is left of that culture and how important it is not to put that culture down, even if you are the only one left.
Yeah.
Even potentially at risk to yourself, I think is a narrative that I would really enjoy. I think would be quite meaningful in this particular circumstance. Yeah, I think it would make for, it has a lot in there that can make for a really, really interesting story looking at what it is like to be a Jedi post Order 66 when you are a people displaced without culture and you're left to kind of carry it on your own.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really want them to show what the Sith has done to the Jedi, and that these Inquisitors are out there hunting down the remnants of the Jedi Order. I really feel like there's a lot of sentiment out there, especially these days, that the Jedi had it coming, or like they deserved to to have that happen to them. That the genocide was all their fault.
Yeah. That's a really uncomfortable thing to hear.
Yeah, I find that definitely very uncomfortable. And I mean, you just think about what you're saying, like they were eradicated. And I really hope that this show shows that. I know
Yeah.
I know that a lot of people say, well, yeah, I really want them to go dark. Like that's what they said about the Book of Boba Fett, but I don't think it goes darker than that.
Yeah.
And I'm cool with them going there, just to really show what the Sith did
Yeah.
Yeah.
and how hard Vader went.
Yeah.
Yeah, and his culpability specifically in hunting down, I mean, we've already watched him kill younglings, but his culpability then in the continued genocide of the Jedi, it wasn't a momentary, oh, I participated in this individual act. He is responsible for the Inquisitors, which then proceeded to continue to hunt down anyone who was left for many, many years. And I
Yeah.
think, Annie, your point about people wanting it to be dark is a really good one, because I think maybe my definition of dark and other people's differ sometimes, because I think you can tell a story that has really dark themes in it, but it doesn't have main characters that are amoral or outright immoral.
Right.
And I there's a place for those stories. I'm fine with those stories, but I feel like we're very saturated with protagonists that are not good people, and
Yeah, I'm kind of tired of that,
yeah, I am.
honestly.
Yeah. It'll be so refreshing to see just a good person.
Yeah.
A good person making their way in the galaxy in a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A simple good
A
person.
Yeah.
simple person
Just wants to live his life.
wants to live his life, trying to be a positive force where he can, looking over a child needing protection.
Yeah.
I really look forward to just seeing a good, kind person in a Disney Plus property for Star Wars.
Yeah, I don't need gray Jedi. I don't need people wearing gray hats. It's fine if it's good versus evil, that's absolutely
Yeah.
fine. I definitely want a good story, and I think the potential is definitely there for it.
I mean, it's also not to say that that Din Djarin or Boba Fett were not good people in their shows, but I think it's a different take when you have a Jedi in this context, like Obi-Wan headlining a show. It's such a different feeling.
Yeah, I think people talk about gray Jedi because they want the poor Jedi to be able to form attachments and fall in love and get married and have babies and like all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
But I think for me the gray characters, I'm not necessarily talking about Star Wars. I'm talking about like other shows, that have characters that you can't. I feel like I can't really root for because I just don't like them that much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of tired of that, honestly.
Yeah. I think there's a real tendency. Sometimes I talk to people and I talk about the fact that I actually quite like stories that have really good people, like in terms of morality.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, the response that I get is that it lacks nuance, and I find that really frustrating in some ways. Like,
Yeah.
I think Padme is a really good example of an ultimately very, very good person. And I think a lot of the nuances in the situation that she's been put in, and that is something that's quite reflective of real life. I mean, even Padme is used as a tool of Palpatine. Jar Jar, who, despite his other faults, is fundamentally a very good person, is used by Palpatine and manipulated very easily. Anakin's manipulated. He ultimately turns out to make very bad choices and not be a good person. But there is a lot of nuance in that by having someone who is a bad actor manipulating a situation and seeing what good people do in that situation. Is actually a story that I think has plenty of nuance and doesn't require that you put someone who is morally bankrupt in the leading role in order to give it nuance. I think that's a massive misunderstanding of both people and stories, and a really frustrating response sometimes.
It is frustrating. I mean, if you look at, like, let's say you look at Lord of the Rings, you had like Frodo, who is your good person. That is a good character. And the journey that he goes through is so harrowing that by the end of it, where he's genuinely struggling to do the task that he's been set on, how is that not nuanced? How is that not any more like thoughtfully done than having a character whose morals are questionable? The journey is the story.
Yeah, definitely the journey. And I think that we're going to find Obi-Wan a lot like Frodo, and he's like all beat up, you know. He's even said that he's like in a bad place.
Yeah.
You know, he's lost everything and rides public transportation to work every day. Like, it doesn't get worse.
Oh, I loved seeing that in the trailer. No one likes taking the bus. Nobody likes it.
Yeah.
He looks so miserable in that scene.
Oh.
But yeah, not only did he lose his whole way of life, he has to go into town and work in his assembly line. I'm not sure what it is he does. I've tried to zoom in and look, but I can't really tell.
Yeah. And it's a story that, like, that conflict within himself of how do you carry on when you, like, what is the point of remaining loyal to your values when you are one of the last survivors of a genocide? I mean, really, what is the point of still being a Jedi? And I think that's a really interesting question to ask. It's one that we've kind of seen in Kanan's comics and his decisions after Order 66, and then the eventual person he becomes in Rebels.
Yeah.
But I think they're very different people, and I'm really interested in seeing that story from the perspective of someone who was an adult, someone who is the mentor of Darth Vader. His personal responsibility is very different, how he might feel about that, and the amount of knowledge he has about what happened. I mean, for someone like Kanan, Caleb, you don't really know what happened. You just know that the troops turned on you, whereas Obi-Wan's in a very different position, and I think him wrestling with the question of who he should be now and what the point is a really, really interesting one. I think that's one there'll be a lot of interesting story that we can get out of that. And I'm really excited to see it because I loved the Kanan comics. I thought that they did a really good job as well.
Yeah, they were really good. I love that character.
Yeah.
Kanan's such a great
Kanan's
character.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, how does Obi-Wan Kenobi get from sad guy in a cave with just a sleeping bag to, the wise old sage for Luke in that much nicer cave apartment that he's in?
Well, one of the things I find most interesting, too, is how uninvolved in Luke's life he is. I mean, that's a choice that he clearly makes, and to not equip Luke with any information and to essentially avoid him, I think is a really interesting choice.
Yeah. Well, if they go along with the comics, like there's a couple of Star Wars comics that goes into that, I think it would be more Owen's decision than Obi-Wan's.
But even the choice to respect that, I think, is interesting. I mean, there's more at stake than just Owen's preferences.
No, that's very true. He definitely chose to respect those wishes.
Yeah.
When he could have been training Luke for a long time.
Is it that comic series where he leaves the toys for Luke? Because that's the one little kind of tidbit that I'm hoping makes it into the series.
Oh, it hurts my heart though.
Yeah, he leaves some parts for his airplane that he needs.
Yeah.
And then Owen brings him back to the cave and like dumps him right in front of Obi-Wan. It's like, we don't need your stupid parts and don't come back. I know, it's really sad. Like Owen's is such a dick in that comic. And I mean, you understand why, but poor Obi-Wan, he's alone. He's talking to himself. Well, he's talking to Qui-Gon, but, you know,
Yeah.
it looks like he's talking to himself.
I'm excited to see how they do the Uncle Owen, Aunt Beru. I hope we see some of that upbringing because you know what? They really did raise an incredibly sweet child.
They did.
And I can actually appreciate Owen being like, I don't want him getting involved with you because you are a threat to his safety. Just you being a Jedi and frankly being alive. So I understand the parental instinct. I think he goes a little overboard in the comic because we don't want to see Obi-Wan get hurt that way.
Yeah, that's what he said some mean shit to poor Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
I have sympathy as well with, I mean, what must have been really bewildering for Owen and Beru because, you know, they're minding their own business and then along comes Anakin who murders a village and then pieces out. And the next thing you know, this dude shows up with a baby and he's like, hey, they're not even related. So it's like your step nephew. Want to take him? Oh, by the way, your step brother's evil. I'm going to go live in a cave.
I wonder how much they know because I don't think Anakin told anybody about murdering the village, and he only told Padme about that. Oh, and the Chancellor.
Surely, I mean,
no.
I feel like word's going to get around though. The Jawas would be like, "What up?
That's true.
That's gossip for you."
But yeah, I mean, at best, he's like the stepbrother, you know, relative that no one knew about. Then they start raising his kid that there's no information on anything. So I don't know. I'll be entertained to see how they address this because you don't really see any of that in A New Hope.
No.
I don't even know if they actually know he's Darth Vader.
Yeah, but I feel like, well, maybe Obi-Wan just said that he died. That seems to be his trademark line.
Yeah.
Well, in the comic, Owen says something like, you've already killed enough Skywalkers. So it leads me to believe that he thinks Anakin's dead.
Yeah.
I mean, it would make sense, especially if he has to introduce himself as like Anakin's mentor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I have sympathy for their position. I disapprove of anyone being mean to Obi-Wan, but I think Owen has good reason.
This show's gonna hurt. We're gonna see a lot of people being mean to Obi-Wan.
It's gonna hurt. And Joel Edgerton's a great actor. Like, he's gonna act his butt off. Whatever it is, it's gonna be really great. I hope he's in more than one episode. You know, I hope he's a big part.
Yeah, I hope he's a recurring character along with Beru
and Tiny Luke
and
Tiny Luke. And I've already said that like no one is allowed to say a bad word about the kid.
We are not repeating what happened in the 90s and 2000s.
No Jake Lloyd 2.0. Okay, so I would like for us to play a game.
Ooh, a game.
It's a fun game. It's a quick game. Okay, so I'm going to name a bunch of people that are alive right now, and you can tell me there's 3 options. Like you want to see them. Like, yes, please. God, please, no. Or meh.
Okay.
Yes, please. God, please, no. Meh. Okay.
Cal Kestis.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Han Solo.
Meh.
I'm going to go... I think I've fallen meh. Somewhere between meh and God, please, no. Just because I don't want... Well, it depends what he comes... I don't want him to meet Luke, for sure.
Yeah.
That wouldn't make too much sense.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of Solo, he was... I think they were putting him in the direction of Tatooine, so...
Yeah.
And if this is supposed to be, like, right after Solo, who knows?
If he's doing his own thing, that's fine. But if he even so much as looks at Luke, I'm going to be like, no. Don't ruin this for me. They meet in A New Hope.
Yeah.
Don't make it weird.
Yeah.
All right. Barriss Offee.
Ooh. I'm going to go yes, please, because I think she's the Mephisto of the Star Wars predictions. And everyone is constantly like, it's Barriss.
It's Barriss.
I did like Barriss in the Clone Wars. I liked her more before she did but I think she'd be interesting.
I think I would say yes, please, as well, just so we can have something that does one up of the Mephisto. Like, at least have her show up. They keep hinting at her. We're all asking for it. You may as well go there.
It might actually be funnier if she never turns up in anything.
That's true.
That's what I want.
I specifically want to say I don't want anyone ever showing up like the way Luminara did in Rebels.
Oh, yeah, that
Yeah.
was sad.
That is not what I want.
Yeah.
Okay, Maul.
Again, between meh and no, because there are many ways he could show up that I would despise. So it has to be done carefully. And I lean towards God, please no, despite how much I love him.
This is really difficult. My gremlin brain says yes, please. My rational, thoughtful brain says God, please no. So I'm kind of in the same boat with Sig.
Yeah, I want to see him. I don't want to see him in there a lot. Like maybe like for a couple of minutes, you know?
Yeah.
That's all we need.
He'd be a great cameo.
He might be doing something with Crimson Dawn. You don't know. So if we see, like I said, like if there's like two ships in the night, like you see like Obi-Wan buying some fruit from a stall,
yes, or
and
like
then
they're in speeders and they like just see each other.
They just glance each other. That would be so cool. That could be an ongoing theme if they ever continue some kind of story. It's
that
just
would be
like,
cool.
Yeah, you can have like showing Maul in something, and then they zoom out and go on a different part of the planet in one shot, and there's Obi-Wan at like a bed and breakfast somewhere.
That would, you know, how much that would drive the fanboys insane.
Yeah.
So therefore,
do it.
I'm here for it. Yeah.
Yeah,
do
me
it.
too.
Do it.
Do it. All right, Lando.
Meh.
Jar Jar Binks.
God, please no.
God, please no. No, and here's why. I especially don't want the revival of Sith Jar Jar coming anywhere.
Oh God, kill it with fire.
Oh yeah, there's people are really intense about that.
God.
So let's not.
They're so intense about them.
We don't need to fuel it.
All right, Ahsoka.
I'm gonna say God, please no, because I don't want too many cameos. And she's already getting her own show. I don't know what they're gonna bring to her being in here, unless it's a flashback. If it's a flashback, that's fine.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm leaning towards yes, because especially if it's a flashback, and Hayden's supposed to be in her show as well.
Yeah.
So again, it depends where. But yeah, I'm gonna go with yes.
Yeah, it would be cool to see like a flashback to Clone War era, you know, live action. They, you know, do the de-aging kind of stuff with Ewan and Hayden. You know, we never got to see the live action trio, the disaster trio.
Oh, I would love to see it. Okay,
so good.
Yeah.
All right, Kira.
God, please no.
Meh.
I'm going with God, please no. Kira, I felt like she was the Mephisto of the Book of Boba Fett, and
yeah, so was Crimson Dawn.
Yeah, I don't want to see her. I'm good. I'm good. Leia.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Qui-Gon.
Yes,
please.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Bail Organa.
Yes.
Yes, please.
How about Cassian Andor?
Meh.
Sure.
Are we ever getting the Andor show?
I don't know.
Is he okay? Has anyone heard from him?
Yeah, I mean, it's supposed to be a prequel, right? And if he showed up in this, then maybe it could lead into his show. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's definitely missing.
Yeah.
Okay, how about Yoda?
Yeah.
Meh.
Yeah, I'm like, God, please, no, I don't need any more Yoda.
I didn't mind a good Yoda, but I failed to see what he would bring.
Well,
really.
surely there might be a scene where they communicate via Dagobah Hotline or something.
Probably. How about a young Kanan Jarrus?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Jabba the Hutt.
No.
I'm gonna go yes, just because I think that he's like he might be a really good foil on Tatooine, depending on where they go with the plot. I can see it being useful to have.
Yeah, that's true.
Jabba.
I am objecting because I've seen a lot of Tatooine.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to see more. And even though the setting is Tatooine, I don't know.
I might be answering the question wrong. It's because I guess, do I actually want to see Jabba? I don't mind, but I wouldn't be thrilled. Can I see Jabba turn up? Yeah.
Well, no, there's people that love that whole Jabba's Palace scene. They just eat up every like little piece, like, you know, Max Rebo and
I'm probably
and the band members, and you know,
I'm not too attached to
I
that
don't
particularly.
Care.
He's he is a good foil. I believe at that time, like, he's charging absorbent rate or like the water taxes.
Yeah.
He's charging.
Yeah.
I think that's probably going to be ongoing.
Yeah, because I can see Obi-Wan stepping up on behalf of various downtrodden workers, or getting in a fight with Jabba that then brings him to the attention of the Inquisitors because he's standing up for the work. Like, I can really easily see that.
Yeah. Plot-wise, it would make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dr. Aphra.
Yeah, because she would mean there's some Vader stuff happening.
Yeah. It'd be cool to see her in live action.
Yeah, it would be cool.
Yeah.
She was a cool character.
Yeah.
She's a really cool character, yeah. Mace Windu.
You said alive. I mean, yes, I would never say no. Mace Windu can turn up in anything and I would be thrilled. Especially if he has no hands.
We never saw a body. We never saw. That's what they always say.
That's
we never
true.
saw a body.
Yes.
He's wandering around the streets of Coruscant, handless.
That I would have watched that show.
I read an interview just this morning of Samuel L. Jackson talking to Bryce Dallas Howard, like, "Hey, you like me, right?" And she was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Want to bring me back to Star Wars? I heard you direct Mandalorian. Like, bring me back."
I'd love it if he was like a Coruscanti street busker right under Palpatine's nose, and he pulls a Max Rebo and plays piano with his feet.
Yeah,
like...
I mean, he said, like, you know, people get hand prosthetics all the time in Star Wars. Why can't I get any? Yeah,
it's true. Yeah. It's like you just walk into a tattoo shop and get modified.
Yeah.
It seems pretty easy.
Well, Tatooine's clearly the place to get it done. So I think he should go and visit Obi-Wan.
They can be sad together in the cave.
You know, if that happens, if Mace Windu turns up, I don't care how bad this show is. I will never have a bad word to say about it.
I would love to see Windu come back, please.
Yeah. All right. And then the last, how about any of the Bounty Hunter Brigade? Like Boba Fett, Cad Bane, Kursatan? All right.
Yeah, no.
God, please, no. No, I'm not going to be kind about it because I have seen quite enough and they're great in their shows. This is about Obi-Wan and hopefully some Jedi and some Inquisitors and some Force things. So they had their times. They'll have more times into the future because there's going to be more seasons coming up of Mandalorian and possibly Boba Fett. And I'm fine with them being there. Just let me have this. Just let me have this one thing.
Just let me have this thing, please.
Yeah.
All right. Would you guys like to move on to the lightning round?
Yes.
All right. How about some more tough questions?
I'm ready. I love tough questions.
I've entitled this Because of Obi-Wan, which has become my most favorite meme.
I love that meme.
Every question is because of Obi-Wan, and the answer is always yes, because of Obi-Wan. Favorite piece of Obi-Wan Kenobi sass?
Good job.
Yeah, good job. Oh God, how do I pick just one?
There's so many.
I know.
There's the possibly when he's talking to Anakin.
It's a good one too. Yeah.
I'm going to go with another pathetic life form.
I knew you were going to do that.
Just because, like, I feel like it's such a funny insight into his relationship with Qui-Gon as well.
Yeah.
Like, it's his, like, he's already that sassy, but you know that Qui-Gon has had to put up with this for, like, 15 years.
Yes. It's so good.
Yeah.
With the good job quote, I just love that whole setup of him looking at his handcuffs, looking at Anakin and being like, good job with that.
Him in that whole movie, I mean, that's why I'm here.
That's why I'm here. Oh my God, he makes that whole movie. Oh my God.
This reminds me, I would love to see some Kenobi humor, some Kenobi, his personality. I know it's going to be very grim, but if we could see that spark in him.
Oh, for sure. I'm sure we're going to get it.
I need him to be really like sarcastic with somebody. He needs a buddy. I don't know who it's going to be, but he needs one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What if it's like Adventures of Uncle Owen and Obi-Wan Kenobi?
I would love that. I would watch that forever.
And that is why Owen wants nothing to do with him.
Yeah, he goes on one field trip and he's like, "You're a maniac. You're going nowhere near my son."
See, that I can get behind.
Yeah.
My favorite comes from Alec Guinness, actually. And it's completely unintentional. But in hindsight, it's hilarious. It's when he talks about these markings must have been from stormtroopers. No one else's is accurate. And looking back and like watching it now, knowing what you know, you're like, oh my God, Obi-Wan, you're being...
I mean, maybe he was going slightly blind. Oh, that's such a good choice.
Okay, so this question, I need to form it right. Okay. Attachment. All right?
Mm-hmm.
People get so attached to certain things. And attachment is a big word. It's a big loaded word in the Star Wars universe.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even now, people are attached to the way the Grand Inquisitor looks in Rebels, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
What are you attached to? What are you unwilling to let go of as far as Star Wars goes?
Oh, I like this question. I was surprised by how attached I am to the way lightsabers look when I watched Rebels, because I'm sorry, they're toothpicks. I hate them. They're so stupidly thin. It's just wrong. It's just, and I didn't think that I had an opinion about it. I was like, yeah, they're laser swords, whatever. And then I watched Rebels and was like, what is this? Why is it here? Why does it look like that? Why is it ridiculous?
Yeah.
That's mine.
I think on a similar vein, I have a lot of opinions about lightsaber duels. So the prequel era, I think, was the best of the best. But stuff that came out in the last decade disappointed me. Apart from maybe Luke. So I think if you're going to use one, you got to have some finesse. Like, don't bore me. So that's my feeling on it. You gotta be good. Also, maybe I'm a little picky about the colors. Maybe that too.
I know I am. I'm definitely picky about colors.
Yeah, I didn't even get into my dislike of anything. Mace Windu's the only one who can have one that isn't blue, green, or red. I'm sorry. Even in video games, I get really annoyed. Like, when you can change the color of your lightsaber, I'm like, these are not options. I'm sorry.
I know. When you play Jedi Fallen Order and you can like unlock all the colors, and I was like, I'm not using pink or white or yellow. It's gonna be blue for me.
Jeez.
I have a lot of lightsaber opinions too, I think.
Yeah.
Me too. You know what I'm attached to is not having the hilt. Like you and McGregor like to talk about when The Force Awakens came out, about Kylo Ren's crossguard. And I know they've explained it. I know they've explained it so that it makes sense. Like, Kylo Ren's crystal was unstable and it needed the vents, whatever. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I think it was just like an aesthetic, because he's all about this. He's all about that, you know. Yeah, I'm attached.
It's like a talking point. I feel like when you saw that in the trailer for The Force Awakens, it's like, what?
Well, that and the weird like dual wield one that Rey has, and that evil Rey scene in The Rise of Skywalker that like connects and flips open into a double lightsaber and then like flips closed again.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense. Like,
why would you have it that way?
Right.
No.
You already had the perfect one with Maul. If you wanted to, his was designed perfectly. If you wanted to,
I'm theoretically okay with a double lightsaber that detaches and then you can use it with the two lightsabers.
Yeah.
But I don't. The flipping is pointless because how would you hold it if it's flipped up? It just seems like a recipe for burning your fingers off or crushing them between the two handles. Like,
yeah, it didn't make any sense.
No.
All right. And this is sort of like from the game, but out of anyone in the Star Wars universe, I guess that's alive right now, the person that you want to see the least on this show.
This will be a little uncharitable, but maybe like a young Din Djarin. I like that he's a big nobody. I actually don't need to see him kind of pop in and be like, oh, this is to come.
Well, and I enjoyed him until he turned up in the Book of Boba Fett, and it turned into the Din Djarin show. And if he did that to Obi-Wan, I would riot.
Oh my god!
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Chewbacca.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I keep forgetting about that you're not a Chewbacca fan.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's fine, but it's not that I hate him, but like there's something that he would be like peak pointless fan service to me. I was tempted to go with Grogu as well for a similar reason. Not that I dislike Grogu inherently, but like it's the peak of pointless fan service, especially because Chewbacca can't even speak. And no.
Yeah.
Just no.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, and my our saying these characters are like I didn't say Din because I don't enjoy watching him.
It's just suit the show.
He wouldn't suit the show. I would not respect him showing up in the show.
Oh, also Palpatine.
Oh.
If somehow Palpatine returned again.
No, I don't want to see Palpatine. I don't want to see Snoke. I don't.
Yeah.
Please God, no.
I can we just have one thing without the shadow?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I hate Palpatine.
It's
I hate
hideous.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I mean, I really like the actor. He's had so much. He's awesome, obviously, but like I don't want to see him again. I'm good. Palpatine can't somehow return. My pick though is Kira. I don't want to see her. When anybody like on any of these videos are like, oh, maybe Kira or Crimson Dawn might show up. Like I'm just like, okay, Mephisto. I just, I had to sit through Book of Boba Fett every week. People are like, yeah, Kira's definitely going to show up. Like there's people like talking about it, like she was definitely coming, and there's nothing.
In hindsight, it was really bold to predict anything that was going to happen in the Book of Boba Fett.
Yes! And people were like, Han Solo is going to come back, de-aged Harrison Ford, and there is nothing.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, I'm not listening to anything. And I would really rather people just not even facilitate those rumors. You know what I mean? Like, and I just don't like Kira because she murdered Dryden Voss, who's my favorite villain. So anyways. So that about does it. That's the lightning round. Definitely be sure to put down answers to the lightning round in the comments yourself. Definitely tell us what you think.
And tell us which of the characters do play yes, please, dear God, no, and meh. Because I'm really curious what people are hoping to see in the show.
Yes.
Definitely. So thanks for tuning in, guys, into the Kyber Collective. If you like what you heard, please give us a like. And if you've got something to say, drop us a comment below. Both of these help make us easier to find for other fans and are the best way you can support our work. If you'd like to keep up to date with our episodes, you can subscribe, and you can always talk to us on Twitter at Kyber Collective. We'll be back with another episode in 2 weeks, and until then, remember, the crystal is the heart of the blade. The heart is the crystal of the Jedi is the crystal of the Force is the blade of the heart. All are intertwined. The crystal, the blade, the Jedi, you are one.